People images tend to be some of the best sellers for stock photography. So today I'm going to show you some of the images I did with Kim and her husband Nick, and we got some great images, but are these good enough for stock photos? I don't know. Let's see. So I'm going to show you my process, how I select the photos that I think are going to do well in stock and why other ones won't. And then also how to process people photos. So let's jump right in. Let me start here. So I don't know if you watched the other two videos. I'm going to be putting links at the end so you can go back to see how these pictures happened. This shot, she was modeling these glasses for me. These are blue light blocking glasses that I was doing for a different client. But there's no logo, so that's perfectly acceptable to sell. Her face is sharp, everything is very crisp except for the wine glass. The wine glass has some motion, there's action, so I think this photo will do very well. So I've already selected these photos. You can see she has a tattoo, a full sleeve tattoo on this arm. What happens with tattoos is the artwork belongs to the tattoo artist. So if I go to sell that commercially, I need the tattoo artist's permission. If you look at the image, there are no logos anywhere. The phone doesn't have any logos. Her clothing doesn't have any logos. So the only thing here is her tattoo. And that's something that's gonna get rejected if I don't have the release, which I don't. So this one I'm not even gonna bother with. So these are 5 images that I selected from this photo shoot. These are the only 5 where you don't have any visible tattoos or anything like that. Now you'll notice this one's a little bit brighter than this one. One's processed, the other one isn't. So let me show you real quick, just with a couple of clicks, how you can get this image to look brighter and bring some life to it. First I'm going to do is just your basic Lightroom works top down. It's organized to work most efficiently top down. So to me the white balance looks correct. I like a little bit more punchy images, a little bit more contrast. I'm going to raise the exposure. I'm going to bring down the highlight so I don't lose the bokeh in the back. I'm going to bring some shadows, but not too much. Also the whites, I'm still adding more contrast. Whenever you add global contrast, you're adding more color contrast. Yeah, keep that in mind. Because it's a person, I'm going to reduce the clarity just a little bit. I'm going to add some texture to bring back the skin. And now I'm also going to reduce the vibrance. This is because when I added the contrast, it made everything brighter. So to me, that's looking a little bit better. It has no noise reduction. If I zoom in, there's a little bit of noise in the background because it was ISO 1000, so I'm gonna just do global noise reduction. Just a little bit, that's 15%. Now I'm going to select the model. Let me delete the mask. I did this in Spanish first, so let me remove all masks. Okay, let's go back here. I'm gonna select the subject. So now you see how it did? It's not perfect. It selected part of the table also, but that's fine. I'm going to, now that she's selected, I'm going to up the exposure on what's her face right here. Now if that looks better. It's brighter, and when you zoom in, again, there's no noise, there's nothing here that would be distracting. The Canon R5 handles it great. It was a 1/8 of a second handheld. She had a whole steady ISO 1000 at 2.8. This gives me the bokeh, the blur. This was a wine glass that I put in the front. There's a casino in the background, and that's not allowed to be in photos, which is why I use 2.8 besides the low light. Now when I brighten her up, you can see that the table also added some light. So I'm going to go back to the mask and click on intersect mask with a linear gradient. And just by dropping this, you can see how it just fades in. One more thing I'm going to do, because I can see a little bit of noise in the background from ISO 1000, is select the background. By selecting the background, now I can only reduce the noise in the background areas. And now I can even play with the brightness and everything in the background. I'm going to leave that as it is. I want the picture to be as neutral as possible and as clean as possible. And by removing the noise only in the background, I'm not losing any detail on her face. Camera focus right in her eyes. It's a great shot, and it has a concept. To sell people images, you need props, you need concepts. Just a portrait, they might sell, but just not as much as if you have a concept. Right now, here she is indoors with the wine glass, on her phone, with the glasses. She's in a dress, wearing a necklace, eyeglasses, blue light blocking glasses. All these can go in the titles, descriptions, in your keywords. You have many things that will make this photo a good seller. Not just a pretty girl, but also all the elements in the image. And that's most of all these other photos. I did the same thing. This one's outside, same thing. She's wearing jewelry, outdoors, a building, nightlife, all these things go in. Now let's go to the next day. Now the next day we were indoors. I did some photos. I really wanted to focus on what's the eyeglasses. So you can see here the reflection in the mirror. The tattoo is not sharp. You can't tell what the design is. So I'm fairly confident that this is gonna get accepted because you can't see the tattoo. There's also more with the blue lights. These are again more concepts. All these eyeglasses don't have logos. I think these will do well because they're props, they're items. This is more of a fashion. I don't know that this will get accepted because you got a big part of the Venetian in the background. This would have to be an editorial, and then what's a tattoo would be fine because it's an editorial image. Same thing with this one because it's a tattoo. Now you really don't see the hotel, but the tattoo is very prominent, so that's gonna get that photo rejected. These are closer. I purposely cropped out the tattoo so you won't see it. On this one you don't see it. There's a small part here which I could blur later in Photoshop. So all these I could use. When we go back here to the nighttime with the street shots, again there's no logos, the clothing doesn't have everything, the eyeglasses don't have anything. All these shots I believe are gonna do well. And these I shot at a very slow ISO so I could get the motion blur from the traffic. If I go to the camera settings, so it's a 2.8, 0.3 of a second at ISO 160. So all these photos should get accepted. They're clean images. The focus is spot on. I know it's hard to handhold. You're not allowed to have a tripod on up and down the strip. I've been yelled at before. Casinos think that if you're going to be making money from them, you have to pay them. So instead of going into arguments and fights, I just leave the tripod at home. Canon R5 has great stabilization. I can handhold it almost a half a second. So these photos I think are gonna do well because we have nightlife, strip, all these things might help. Now let's go back to portraits in Valley of Fire. Now the next day at Valley of Fire, I don't know if you remember this photo shoot, but again, I'm gonna be putting links at the end of the video just so you can see a little bit more about how these photos happened. As we're looking through the images, you can see that this one has her tattoo is very prominent. So this one's not going to be accepted because I don't have the release. The next photo, her arm is down, you don't see the tattoo. So this is one that I'm gonna submit. These photos I don't believe are gonna sell too much. And the reason being is the concept. A pretty girl out in Red Rocks might sell here and there for travel, for the fashion photo shoots, things like this, but nobody goes hiking in a dress and sandals. So these are not the best stock photos because they're just not going, they don't have that concept. Yes, somebody might use it in Las Vegas, giving you ideas as to where you can go take pictures. This is one of my favorites, but again, you can see the tattoo, so that's not gonna get accepted as a royalty free. But going back to the concepts, a lot of these don't have what's a good concept. Again, a fashion photo shoot, the rocks, the desert, these would sell occasionally, but they're not going to be the best sellers. If she was wearing a backpack with a hydration pack, hiking gear, things like this, that would help the sellability of the photos. I'm going to submit them anyway, the ones that I can. This one might do better. She's on the third, so you can add text, you can add different things. Out of all these images, I only ended up with, where'd they go? 15 images that I might be able to use for stock. So we did over 200. I gave her about 40, and now I'm down to 15 that I could use for stock photography. The main reason is the tattoos. I can't use anything that has a tattoo unless I sell it editorial, and this has no editorial use. These again don't have much of a concept. Besides a pretty girl sitting on a rock in the desert. That's not really a selling point, but who knows? It's a clear photo. Let's try it. That's the thing with stock. If you have a clear image, chances are you can sell it. Just post it. They're gonna do more out there on the websites than they're gonna do on your computer. Oh, let's go back to editing. The process. How do I process these photos? Let me find one where I can show you. So this portrait here, if I go to develop, this one's a little bit much because I gave this one to Kim. Let me bring back up the blacks here. Her hair is very dark and it's completely blown out. There's no information in her hair. That one's a little dark. Let me brighten it up just a little bit more. Let me go back to before and after. J, get rid of the highlights. So that is the original raw photo, and then this is the edited image. I did remove some imperfections she had on her face. She had like acne and then other things. Stock is about clear images. I could probably remove these freckles on her arm, here and here and here, just a couple of clicks, and Lightroom takes them away fairly easy. I don't like to do too much like skin softening. This image doesn't have any skin softening. I don't like to do that too much. Stock photography is not looking for real people with real situations. Softening the skin is not a real thing. I do remove the bigger imperfections because they tend to be a little bit distracting. If I click here before and after, you can see how many dots I removed from her chest. You do need to know the backstory. Kim was competing in a fitness competition and she had a spray tan. So there's extra contrast in all these things. When I was taking pictures, I didn't notice any of these things. I wasn't looking for that. When you have a still image and you zoom in at 100%, you're gonna find a lot of things that you don't even know you have. Every time I take a picture of my face and I go in 100%, I see my eyeball that big, you're gonna find a million things in your face that the pimple you had when you were in high school is gonna come back 30 years later to haunt you. So that's why I removed some of these things. Using the tip I gave you before from Lightroom, if you select the model, which I did on this one, here's the subject, I can either brighten the subject up or darken her. You can see it selected a little bit of the rock, so I'm gonna be just very gentle. I can go in and erase that. To me, that photo looks really good. If I compare to before and after, it's a little bit warmer. I did brighter tones. I brightened her up a little bit. Maybe it's too yellow. Let me drop the temperature of the photo just a little bit. There we go. So you can see that she is brighter. You still see her tattoo, so I'm gonna take that into Photoshop and erase that. There's other tattoos here that I removed. That one, computer's a little bit slow because I'm processing a different video. I'm gonna end this video. I just wanted you to see the difference in an image with a concept and the right props, or something with the wrong props. Nobody's gonna go hiking in a white dress and sandals. So these have completely different props and different styles when you're doing a portrait or when you're doing something to sell a product, which when I was doing the ones with the glasses, I was trying to focus on that being the main concept, that was selling the product. And that's what makes a good stock photo, because people are gonna use it to sell things. So again, guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.